My name is Teemo, and I'm a data journalist working for the EBU, the European Broadcasting Union. This is a how-to video that I wanted to make for you about how to combine a dataset. So sometimes we have a situation where we have data for example, for certain areas, but we want to combine this data to a smaller number of areas. So, for example, in this exercise, we are gonna combine or aggregate the data that is presented by an administration level in the US. We are gonna combine this data to a state level data set. And for this exercise, we're going to use quite current data set that involves the novel coronavirus data. And this data has been published by the Johns Hopkins University. And they are publishing this data on their GitHub page, which we can see here. And they are releasing the number of people died the number of people who have died in the US on an administration level. So this data has about 5,000 rows or so. But we want to combine this data to a state level data. So in the end, we will have about 50 rows. So let's get to it. The data is available here in GitHub, and they release it on daily basis. So we're going to use the most current data. So the data can be found from this COVID-19 data folder, and let's open that. And then we have the time series datasets available here, and this document has the number of deaths in the US. So we are going to open that. The data is in CSV format, which means it's tabular data, so it can be opened in Excel. And here we can see a preview of this data. It has 3,000 lines, so quite a lot more than we desire. We desire the 50 lines. So this data is in some administration level from the US, so Baldwin, Barbour, Bip, Blunt. But the state information is also available here. So what we want to do and what we are going to do in this exercise is that we are going to aggregate and combine all of these rows that are from Alabama to a one single row. So we would get in the end the number of deaths per each day in total in Alabama, and also for other states as well. So what we do and what you want to do is that you click the raw button to get the raw data, and from here we can from the context menu we can click Save As. So we are able to save this file to our computer, to our local computer, and we are going to do that. Okay, I already have it, but I don't mind. And in this exercise, we are going to use the Google Drive, but you can of course use Excel if you want, or any application that you feel the most comfortable with. I already have some data here because I have done this quite a few times, but I'm gonna upload now this this data that I just downloaded, and it takes a while for it to convert from CSV, but now it's here. I'm gonna rename this right away so I know what this data is about. So it's about from this day, and D is about deaths, or corresponds to deaths. And I'm gonna open this data. This is the same data that we just downloaded from GitHub. So this dataset has about 3,000 lines, and what we want to do is that we are going to combine this data so that in the end we'll just have numbers for each state rather than this admin2 level. The information for state is available in this G column, so that's very important that this information is available here. So because otherwise we would have to find out where each of these administration areas in which state they are. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create another sheet where I'm gonna make this combining, and in Excel and in spreadsheets you have functions. So first of all, I want to know all the states that are available in this data, and for this I can use the unique function, which allows me to fetch all the unique rows in the provided source range. So I'm going to use the unique function, and as a range I'm going to give the G column where this state information is available. So when we run this function, it will give us all the unique values that are available in this column. And actually here we should get 50 states, but there are a little bit more than that, because some of the states in this dataset are not actually states, but are rather vessels, actually, ships, like Diamond Princess and Grand Princess. And there are other areas also, like Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico, which or Guam, which are areas administered by the US, but are not necessarily states. But we don't mind. 58 is quite much better than 3,500 where we started from. We're gonna make the first row bold, and we're gonna freeze the first row, because that's a very good practice for all datasets. Then for this A, from B to whenever, we want to get the dates. So we're gonna just copy paste these dates from the original dataset. So let's just select those, copy and paste the dates here. And let's make them bold. So here we would want to get the number of deaths on 22nd of January in American Samoa, and here to California, and here to Kentucky, here to Kansas, and so on. And in the end, here we would get the total number of deaths for each state. So what we need to do is that we need to get this data from the original dataset. And how this is done, it's quite handy in spreadsheets, because you can use this kind of function which is called count if, a conditional count across a range. Sorry, we want to use the sum if function, actually, because we want to sum, not count. We want to summarize the numbers if the criteria is what we need it to be. So what does it do? We give a range, we give the criteria, and optionally we give the range where the sum is being calculated from. So range, which is the range we want to make the test from. It's the G column again. So we want to test if the value in the G column matches our state on this row, so A2. So in the G column, we go through the G column and we match if the value is the same as in A2, so American Samoa on our first row. And we want to lock the column G so it doesn't change when we fill these formulas to the right. And this also applies for A. So we want to keep and lock the column A as our criteria. The sum is optional. The sum range is optional, but in this case we need to use it because we want to make the sum summarize per each day. So for the 22nd of January we will make the sum from this column M. So each time for each we check if the value in the G column matches our criteria, and if it does, we summarize the values from the M column. And this should do it. So at first it's 0. We can test it here. It gets updated. First it's M, now it's N, and we want to fill this information right to the end. For American Samoa, it seems that no one had died due to coronavirus there. But let's see if we fill this information for all the rows. So we want to select all the dates, and then we want to click this blue button here, so all the information gets filled for all the states. And now it's being calculated. Okay, now we get more information and we get actual numbers here. So for example, this state here, which is Connecticut, we can see that, okay, for a long time the numbers were 0, but then the latest death toll is 2012. And I think we can quite easily spot the state of New York here, which most obviously is this one. If we freeze the first column, we can see that, okay, it's New York, yes. So yeah, now we have this data, and if we want to remove the rows that have data for areas that are not states, we can just manually remove them, like Puerto Rico. It's not a state, but it's some kind of administration area. But if we don't want it included, we can just remove it, and we can do this for the 8 or so rows that are extra here. So this is quite easy way and quite straightforward way to convert this kind of dataset, which is more on a more precise level, to a more kind of aggregated level. So we went from administration level to this state level data. Okay, hope you enjoyed this how-to video, and if you have any comments, please leave a comment and contact me, and or if you have any suggestions for a next video, I'm happy to hear about that too. And in other case, in any way, have a nice day.